Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Thanks for Coming Back. I'm Dr. Latasha Nelson, and today we're diving into a topic that is hitting close to home for so many people right now: uncertainty at work. If you've been paying attention to the business news in the US, you've probably seen the headlines about restructuring, job cuts, and companies changing in order to meet the current and future needs of their customers. And while this uncertainty can feel overwhelming, I believe that with the right mindset and actions, you can turn this into an opportunity to accelerate your career growth. Today's episode is all about reframing disruptions into growth opportunities. How do you take control of your career when it feels like there's so much that's out of your hands? How do you show up as a leader, even if you don't have a formal title? And most importantly, how can you build a future proof career during a time when so many things feel uncertain? Let's talk about it. Let's start with the elephant in the room: uncertainty. While recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that layoffs remain low, with jobless claims dropping to their lowest levels in 2 months, the overall picture is still one of economic pressure. In fact, fewer job openings are available, and many people, particularly the long term unemployed, are finding it difficult to re enter the workforce. On top of that, a survey from PwC found that 77% of CFOs are adopting new cost cutting measures to respond to these economic pressures, meaning that restructuring and potential layoffs could still be on the horizon for many companies. So, while layoffs may not be spiking right now, the uncertainty in the market remains, and that's why it's so important to develop title free leadership skills and be adaptable to future changes. But here's the thing: what if you could use this uncertainty as a launch pad? What if instead of seeing this as the end of stability, you saw it as a chance to adapt, grow, and develop title free leadership skills that will help you stand out no matter what happens next? This is where the concept of unlearning comes into play. You've probably heard the saying: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. This quote from Alvin Toffler feels very relevant, maybe more so than ever. The key idea here is that in a world where change is happening rapidly, it's no longer enough to know how to read and write. We must be able to learn new skills, unlearn outdated methods, and relearn in ways that match the pace of change. This concept applies to all kinds of disruption, from new technologies like AI to organizational restructuring or even industry decline. Let's elaborate on this. Learning involves staying open to acquiring new skills, whether they're technological, strategic, or interpersonal. As we see industries shifting rapidly, leaders who continue to learn will stay ahead of the curve. Unlearning is the process of letting go of outdated practices or beliefs that no longer serve us. For instance, you might need to unlearn the assumption that staying in one role or industry for decades is the path to success. In today's world, being flexible and embracing new opportunities is often more valuable. Relearning involves taking what you know and applying it in new ways. Think about someone who's working in a traditional marketing role. Maybe they've been there for years. And as AI and digital marketing tools become more prominent, they might need to relearn how to use those tools to remain competitive. As Terence Mauri highlights in his book, The Upside of Disruption, leaders today are facing massive disruption from many angles, with 93% of chief HR officers expecting AI driven disruption to affect their organizations in the next 5 years. The question isn't if, but when this disruption will hit. Mauri also emphasizes that unlearning outdated practices and embracing a future ready mindset is key to thriving in this environment. In the context of AI, technology is transforming how we work, and that transformation is speeding up. So, as leaders, whether we have a formal title or not, we need to constantly be ready to adapt and rethink the way we approach our roles. As Mauri puts it, it's about shifting from reactive resilience to proactive resilience, being open to new ideas, embracing change, and reimagining the future. Another key point Mauri makes is about the relationship between risk and reward. Too often, we overestimate the risk of trying something new and underestimate the risk of staying still. In times of disruption like the one we're in now, it's easy to cling to what we know, to hold tight to the familiar, but this can limit our growth and opportunities. Mauri talks about how risk and reward travel together. And in a rapidly changing world, standing still can be just as risky as moving forward. But what does this mean? In a world where change is happening faster than ever, staying still might feel safe in the short term, but over time it can lead to stagnation. The skills, processes, or strategies that worked for you in the past may no longer be effective. Standing still can be a hidden risk because while you avoid the discomfort of change, you also risk becoming irrelevant as the world around you evolves. Taking calculated risks, on the other hand, opens the door to new opportunities. It allows you to grow, adapt, and learn new skills that will keep you competitive. Whether it's applying for a role in a new department, learning a new technology, or taking on a leadership role in a project, these actions, though risky, can lead to significant rewards. Let me share an illustration with you. How many of you know someone who, after spending decades in the same role and when faced with restructuring at their company, took a leap of faith? Instead of applying for a similar position in another department, they took a calculated risk and shifted into another space of interest where, even if they were unfamiliar with it, they were eager to learn. They invested time in upskilling, taking certification courses, and leveraging their network to find a mentor in the field. And as a result of this growth mindset, they're now thriving and experiencing things they never even considered before. In this way, taking calculated risks, whether it's volunteering for new projects, upskilling in a new area, or even seeking out new career paths, can help you turn disruption into an advantage. This isn't about being reckless. It's about making thoughtful, strategic decisions that push you outside your comfort zone and open new doors. Now let's talk about how you can accelerate your career, even in the face of disruption. One powerful strategy is serving others. In times of uncertainty, many people are facing challenges, and stepping up to help others can solidify your role as a leader. When you offer support to colleagues, teams, or even clients who are struggling with change, you're showing leadership in action, whether or not you have a formal title. Serving others builds trust and influence. Additionally, one of my favorite concepts I first heard from Dr. Tim Elmore is the idea of drafters. These are people who are ahead of you in certain areas, and just like in racing, they can help pull you along to reach new heights. Even if you don't have a formal title, you can build a network of drafters. Here's how. Start by identifying where you want to grow. What skills, knowledge, or experiences are you missing that could make you more resilient in the face of change? For example, as mentioned before, if you're in marketing but you see AI influencing your field, maybe it's time to learn the basics of AI-driven analytics. Leverage platforms like LinkedIn. Connect with people in your field who already have achieved what you aspire to. Want to make a shift into a leadership role? Try actively following industry leaders on LinkedIn, commenting on their posts, and eventually reaching out for virtual coffee chats. Those connections can lead to a new role, but more importantly, give you the insights you need to grow. And attend industry events and meetups. When I was pivoting in my own career, I attended several conferences, both virtual and in person, meeting people who were a few steps ahead of me. Many of those connections have turned into lifelong relationships and opportunities that have fast-tracked my growth. Building relationships with drafters takes time, but this is one of the best investments you can make in future-proofing your career. What's more, by showing up as a title-free leader and offering value to others, whether that's through your insights, your time, or your skills, you can cultivate strong, reciprocal relationships that benefit both sides. Now let's get practical. How do you show up as a leader in uncertain times? Leadership isn't tied to a title, and that's something that needs to be embraced. It's about influence, and here are a few ways you can take action. Lead with values. When everything feels uncertain, having a strong foundation in your values is critical. Make decisions based on integrity, even when the outcome is unknown. Staying true to your core values will not only guide you through uncertainty, but also help you gain the trust of those around you. Persevere through challenges. Disruption and uncertainty are often temporary, but how you respond to them can have long-term benefits. The leaders who persevere, who continue to show up, work hard, and seek opportunities, are the ones who will emerge on the other side. Don't expect immediate results, but trust that your efforts will pay off over time. And finally, embrace optimism. It's easy to focus on the negatives during times of change, but having an optimistic outlook can shift your entire experience. Instead of seeing uncertainty as a threat, view it as an opportunity. Every disruption brings with it the chance to innovate, grow, and try something new. Your mindset is a powerful tool. Use it to see the possibilities that lie ahead. Now, I want to leave you with 3 high impact questions to reflect on after today's episode. First, how can you position yourself to thrive in the midst of uncertainty and change? Next, who are the drafters in your life that can help you accelerate your leadership journey? And finally, in the absence of a formal title, how can you start showing up as a leader in your workplace today? Remember, uncertainty doesn't have to be something to fear. It can be a catalyst for growth. You have the power to take control of your career, build your network, and lead in ways that make a real impact. Thanks so much for listening to Thanks for Coming Back. As always, I'd love to hear how you're navigating this season of change. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or drop a message with your thoughts and experiences. Until next time, keep leading right from where you are.